Hi, welcome to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all of the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. I'm most active over on Instagram, where you'll find me as both Rainbow Ange and Yarn and Yarns. Welcome to a Yarn and Yarns extra video today. I'm about to start a new spin project on my wheel, and I've been asked a few times how I decide how I'm going to spin a braid of fibre. This might be a good opportunity to chat a little bit about that. If you've followed along with me for a while, you'll know that spinning for me is just about the enjoyment of the process itself. I don't tend to spin for specific projects. I'm not really a technical spinner, and I don't tend to spend a lot of time sampling or aiming for a particular type of yarn. I just choose my fibre and spin and see what it becomes, really. Generally, I'm spinning a small amount of fibre each time, so usually a quantity of 100 grams or so. And even for the projects that I've knit in my hand spun yarn, I've chosen the projects after I've spun the yarn. So you might remember a little while ago I did a little series of videos about my combo spin. I wanted to spin for a sweater, but I spun all of that yarn and then picked a pattern according to the weight and the amount of yarn that I'd ended up with, rather than the other way around. So yes, I tend to be quite fast and loose with my spinning, I suppose, and just go with whatever makes me happy in terms of my fibre choice or the colour choice that I'm spinning. And I almost let the fibre sort of tell me what it wants to be, and then just go for it. That may change over time, particularly now I am getting a little bit more excited about working with raw fleece and trying to produce yarn from start to finish. I may try and get a little bit more savvy about my spinning and perhaps sample a little bit. If I've got a larger quantity of fibre to play with, then perhaps my focus will start to change. Those are really sort of thoughts for perhaps future projects and future videos. For now, we're going to concentrate on the next fibre that's going on my wheel, and I ordered some gorgeous fibre from Attic Spin Dye. There we go, try and get it so the label is in focus. And I ordered from them 100 grams of superwash Corriedale and nylon. So it's a 90% Corriedale, 10% nylon mix. And I thought I'd have a go at spinning for some socks. This colour is called Tropical Sunset. I've not yet unwrapped the fibre from the band, and so I'm going to do that now and have a think about how I want to spin this up. I have previously spun a braid of fibre for socks, but I haven't actually knit those socks yet, so I should probably get on and do that because there's a lot to be learnt from knitting with your own hand spun yarn. But as soon as this colour arrived, I knew I wanted to get it on the wheel, so I'm just going to go for it. And I think I want to 3-ply the yarn to try and make it as even as possible and as strong as possible for socks. I want to try and spin it with reasonably high twist. I'm going to have to try and spin quite finely, so the spin might take me a good amount of time. Let's unwrap it and see what it looks like when it's all open, and we'll go from there. Okay. Ooh. So it's actually two 50-gram braids, which is really nice. That would make it very easy to spin as a 2-ply. But of course, that's not what I want to do because I am awkward like that. So I've undone my fibre, and it's this glorious progression of purple into sunshine yellow into this orange, and then a slightly deeper yellow. The two yellows are definitely a bit different. If I hold them together, you can see this one is a bit darker. I have plenty of options to choose from when it comes to this fibre. I could spin across the top and follow the progression of the fibre down, spin through all of the purple, then all of the yellow, etc. Spin to several different bobbins and ply from the same parts of the fibre, then I should get a yarn that follows this colour progression. These are quite big sections of fibre, and I'm planning on trying to spin my yarn quite finely, so as you can imagine, as I pull this out, this section of purple is going to hopefully create quite a lot of yarn. For my socks, I probably won't spin across the top because I'll be knitting in a fairly small circumference, and I'll probably end up with colour blocked socks rather than a sort of narrow stripe, and I probably end up with two socks that looked quite different. If you think about half of this fibre, so if I kept to the colour progression, I probably end up with one sock that was purple and yellow and the other which was yellow and orange, which is absolutely fine. I think that would be really fun, and I think they definitely look like they were still a pair, but I don't think that's really what I want to do. I could go for a striping effect, so I could split this down further into sort of smaller strips of purple fibre and do the same with the other colours, and then I could spin them in an order, so I could do a little bit of purple, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of orange, a little bit of yellow, and then go back, do a little bit of purple, etc, etc, and make narrower sections of the yarn in these colours, which would make a self-striping, as long as I applied the same colours together. Final option, which I think is probably the option that I'm going to go with, will be to split the fibre down vertically and spin a fractal. So I think I've spoken about fractal spinning before, and basically you split your fibre down. In my case, I'd split it down into 3, and then once I'd got my thirds of fibre lined up, I would then split each colourway down a further number of times. So I might keep one as a whole and spin it across the top, so I'd get fairly long colour progressions. My second one, maybe I'd split in 2, so to my second bobbin I would have sort of narrower sections of this colour more often, and then maybe the last section I'd split into 4, so I'd have lots of little sections of colour, and my colours are going to kind of mix and barber pole. If I spin one of the sections completely as dyed, I'll still get a somewhat sort of underlying striped effect, but my colours are going to mix and change and ply together in different ways, and I should get hopefully a nice fun barber poled yarn. That's the plan. Obviously the more you strip down your fibre, the more you blend your colours, the more likely things are to sort of muddy and blend together. I think these colours are bright and vibrant enough against each other to not really muddy, but sort of to keep their own colour characteristics. So if let me try, and I know this isn't exactly going to be perfect. I've divided this up into 4 and wound the colours together, and I think you can definitely kind of see all of those colours. They're still all keeping separate and standing out against each other. So I think a fractal will work. The fun thing with spinning is, unless you sample, which I'm not going to do in this case, you never know exactly what you're going to get until your yarn is finished. But I think if I can get this fine enough for a pair of socks, it will just be a really fun experiment. And I think almost the finished yarn doesn't matter. I think the fibre is beautiful, the colours are stunning, they've been dyed beautifully by Attic Spin Dye, and I don't think I can really mess it up, she says confidently. I think when I'm asked the question, how do you choose to spin your fibre, I think it often comes from a place of people worrying that they'll mess up the braid or mess up the colours in some way. I think when you spin, the colours do dilute somewhat, because the intensity of colour that you see in a big sort of dense piece of fibre like this is different to what you get when you sort of spin your yarn and you've got, like, you know, a small strand of the fibre versus like a really sort of dense bit. But at the end of the day, all of our creating and making is for fun, isn't it? And there'll always be more fibre. Maybe things won't come out exactly as you've seen in your head, but the yarn will no doubt be usable. And I've often made things that initially I don't like because I had this fixed idea in my head of what I'm expecting them to be or what I want them to be, and they don't come out quite according to that idea. So I get a bit frustrated with them and, you know, put them in the naughty corner or leave them to one side. And then often I found if I come back to them later, actually I really like them and there's nothing wrong with them. It's just that initially they didn't live up to that perfect project or that perfect yarn that I had in my head. But when you come back to those yarns or those projects, you find a new love for them and you realise that they're absolutely fine. They are beautiful things. It's just that maybe they didn't work out exactly in the moment to the picture that you had in your head. I say just go for it, get stuck in. If you've got a precious braid in your stash at home and you've been too afraid to spin with it, I say grab it, unravel it, take a good look at it and just see what strikes your fancy. So I guess the overarching answer to the question of how do I choose to spin my braid, it's usually just whatever appeals to me in the moment. That might not be very helpful. But that's just the way that I approach my spinning. There is no right or wrong. You are the master of your project. If you have enjoyed the process, even if maybe your yarn doesn't come out exactly as you had wanted it to, then I think that's good enough. I'm off to start stripping down my fibre and get this on the wheel. I cannot wait, and I think at the end I'm going to have some really fun socks, fingers crossed. It might take me a while, but I will get there. And if you're looking for some beautifully dyed fibre, I can highly recommend Attic Spin Dye. I think last time I looked they still had a few braids of fibre in the shop, and I'll pop a link to their Etsy shop below. Thanks for watching today. I hope you are well, and I really appreciate you spending time with me. Until we get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now. I thought I'd finish this video, but I've split the fibre down and it looks so cute. So I thought I'd film this and stick it in somewhere before the end. So I've split the braid into 3, and then I've split each third into 3, 6 and 9. Don't they look so cute? So I'm going to spin each of these piles to a bobbin, see where we go.